So what's the point of architectural theory? This is, once again, a very interesting and complicated question that I will try to answer to the best of my ability. But I like this question, and I like theory-related questions, because these questions are the ones that set the direction of architecture. And that sort of answers, like from the get-go, the purpose of architectural theory. Because without theory, there's nothing to guide practice. And without practice, you can't test your theories. From the beginning, the first architectural book that we can consider as architectural theory is 10 Books on Architecture by Vitruvius. That's the oldest recipe, let's say, for good architecture that we have. He wrote it in the 1st century BC, if I'm not mistaken. He was an architect, a military engineer, an engineer in general. In this book, he also writes about other things related to constructions, related to architecture, but not just this. That's the first book about architectural theory. So for example, the works of Renaissance architects like Leon Battista Alberti and Andrea Palladio are building on the work of Vitruvius. Later works build also on Andrea Palladio's and Battista Alberti's work. And the point in every case, always, with architectural theory is to try to define what good architecture is, how architecture should be. But sometimes, and that's where practice comes in, and that's where critical evaluation comes in, you have to look at what the theory presents, what it wants to achieve, and how well it achieves it. Because, as the saying goes, the test of the pudding is the tasting, the trial of the pudding is the tasting. So until you don't try the pudding, you can't tell if it's good or bad, but after you try the pudding, you can tell that it's bad, and then you can dismiss it. But the problem is, as I see it, we've seen certain theories play out. We've seen certain theories being tested in architecture, but we are not stepping away from them. So in a previous video, I mentioned that at Frankie's, there was a guy called Andy András, who is half Hungarian, kind of speaks Hungarian a little bit, but not that much. And when we met, we had a conversation, and he said that, man, he would really like to have some coins from Hungary. This happened like a week ago, and ever since I'm trying to find Andy. Anyways, now I got to work. See you in a while, because I work 12 hours today. So the topic was theory in architecture, and this episode was meant to serve as an introduction to architectural theory, in the sense that I wanted to explain what the point of architectural theory is. The point of theory is to push forward practice. And with architecture, we see that the theory is always going to wilder and wilder territories, like for example with deconstructivism. My problem is that, all right, we can have theory, we can do architectural theory, no problem. Push forward the intellectual, the mental part of the story. It's all right, I accept it. Probably there is some use for it. But be critical, at least, with what you are doing and what you're building. Think like, all right, we tried this direction. Did it work? No. Then is there any point in continuing the same trend without changing it? I don't know, I think it's Socrates, but he said that madness is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting to have different results. If your theory doesn't work, then why do it? Or are you just that arrogant that you can't accept that what you were thinking before is wrong? What would you lose with that? Admitting that you are wrong, that you are mistaken, is the first step to becoming better. So it's just a win-win situation. You don't make the same mistakes again. You don't propagate stupid things in the world, and you become smarter, and you become better, and you probably make more money. There are a lot of theories, there are a lot of thinking behind architecture, trying to give it a direction, even though I don't think that architecture is directionless necessarily inherently. As I see it, architectural theory in many ways and in many cases just tries to justify some kind of experiment, some kind of direction. But it doesn't really give anything of real value back to its users. This was a precursor episode for later architectural theory oriented videos that I plan to do. And in those, we will delve into specific theories, specific books and essays and works from architects that I find interesting and that I find worth talking about. That's it for today. See you guys tomorrow.